YouTube. But when I first was into this awareness, like 2001, when I woke up until 2008, I was really angry at those who chose not to wake up. I was like trying to rock people's worlds, like shake them out of this slumber, you know? And I'm doing that still because I do porous ascension, of course, but it's not so like aggressive. Like I was like super aggressive about this information. And not until I had the realization that a lot of people chose to stay ignorant to this truth, and their ignorance to the truth gives me the contrast that I needed to have my awakening. It's almost like that some of these beings were very enlightened souls that chose to take on the role of complete ignorance in order to give you that contrast that you needed. Or maybe they're even stronger. They chose to go through suffering and pain longer than maybe other people who got out of it, just to have the experience, one, or just to be the catalyst for another person to wake up. You know, who are we really to know what's going on in the grand scheme of it all?
I agree with you, Neil. Absolutely. And you know, we were asleep until we woke up, unless you were one of the born awake, which many people are also. So I was pretty asleep until the day I woke up, which was a long time ago.
So we're going to get into Geraldine Orozco now. And do you want to do a little quick intro on Geraldine?
I can. I'm not going to read anything, but
No,
I can
just
tell
from
you
the
about
heart.
my experiences, but from the heart.
Go for it.
Oh, I was waiting for her to show up so I could see her face. I want to see her face while I'm introducing her. I can't help it. I'm a Pisces. I'm a tactile person. I know Geraldine's a Pisces. She's one of the most committed UFO researchers, hybrid researcher. She has her Bay Area meditation. She works with groups of hybrid people who feel that they're hybrids, and contactees, gives her gifts, takes them into other realms, does amazing work taking you back to who you are and channeling for you. And she did some amazing sessions with myself to recover my memories of who I am and where I've been. And I think she's such an asset to not just the UFO world, but your consciousness world, and really waking up to who you are. So I would call her a consciousness specialist, and whose role here is to awaken many, many people to who they are and their role here on the planet. So I just love you, Geraldine, to the moon and back. And to look at you, you're such a delicate person, and you're so powerful. Everything you say and do, and I can't wait to see you this month, actually, in Glastonbury.
Oh,
welcome, Geraldine.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Neil and Joan. What an honor it is to be here once again, and the amazing work that you guys are doing that is so important right now. So it's just incredible. Thank you, Joan. You're incredible as well, the work that you're doing, and Neil.
Thank you, Geraldine. Feel the same way. Like, just to put in another couple of words here, I really love the fact, like, you also are a bridger of worlds. You know, you attend mainstream genetics conferences. You know, right. You get this linear information, and the way you present the facts of the reality and DNA, but come from the heart, is really unprecedented in this community. So I feel like you're both, your left and right brain are firing at the same level in order for you to be able to convey things at really holistic perspective, which is why I love like everything you share. It's some of my favorite presentations. So what are you going to share with us today?
Thank you so much. Yes, you know, it's really important. I think that the more that we come into this shift that we're moving through, the veils are thinning in such a way that humanity is experiencing a major jump in consciousness. And I believe that this is inevitable, this jump that we are going through right now, that began probably 10, 15, 20 years ago, but in 2-3 years ago, pushing forward the preparation for humanity to change, and the changes that we are going through as humanity is not only psychological, it's biophysical, biochemical, and it's in our genetics. Our genetics are shifting and changing in alignment with these global changes, because the way that humanity, our organisms actually store information is not just in the physical body, but it's holographic. And it's actually through the hologram, because we exist in this holographic existence, this universe, that we are receiving these upgrades. And the human body receives the upgrades through solar flares, through cosmic movements that are adjusting the genetics of the collective humanity. The way that we receive information in dream time and also in a conscious state has been kind of like put through propulsion over the past 3 years to wake up consciousness from one state of vibrational frequency into what we're at right now. And that essentially is a DNA activation that is happening to humanity. The pandemic essentially is helping people. This is kind of the way that this organism is training the human organism to wake up consciousness in levels. Number one, the pandemic allowed humans to train in discernment, to wake up from a comfort of the matrix, all the experiences, the external attention to the world in survival mode, shifting it into the internal to really reconnect with the human body, to understand what is happening to us in order to begin to train discernment. And now we are going through another phase, which is going to be a major push forward in the way that humanity is thinking and looking and processing information. Now that we are moving artificial intelligence, AI, research forward, humanity is having kind of an introduction to what it means to embody high levels of intelligence, high levels of activation of our consciousness. The way that AI processes massive amounts of information is very similar to the kind of experiences that contactees experience when they interact with interdimensional beings, with ETs, because the level of consciousness that they're operating at is multidimensional, it's multi-universal, it's telepathic, it's connected to another level that humanity has to kind of broaden their perspective. It is being pushed forward, and artificial intelligence is kind of the introduction for humanity to begin to change the neural pathways, the way that we process information, not only biophysically, but genetically in the hologram. We are being upgraded through that introduction. And so it is inevitable that disclosure is occurring at this time because it goes hand in hand. Not only will artificial intelligence open the floodgates into another level of thinking for humanity and processing information, the way and the amount of information that we process, but we are learning more about this hologram quicker. All of the little things, the lies that were suppressed about our science, about religions, about cultures, about the way politics are managed, the way society has been engineered for so many centuries now, all of that is coming into a dissolve in order to come into emerging to something that is more truth. So this is kind of like the beginning of this change that we're going into.
Beautiful. Geraldine, are you going to be showing slides, or should we have a conversation?
Yeah, let's just have a conversation
Okay,
about it. I don't have any slides
so
for
I would love to, let's start with this, a lot of things you said there, but I love that you said train discernment, because I feel like, you're saying over the last few years during the pandemic that us having to check in with ourselves was the starting process of us training for discernment for what's to come. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. So the pandemic essentially is something that really tested humanity in trying to understand how to discern because of the level of information, conflicting information that was so apparent, and what that causes people. Anytime that you bring a person into complete confusion about things and disconnect with themselves, this is the easiest way to manipulate humanity. And it's been done in many different ways, through history, and the way that even the UFO disclosure has been handled with the CIA, connecting it with conspiracies, connecting it with the entertainment industry in order to completely take our mind away from that as being something even possible. That was a social engineering program that was really infused into our society, and we are having to wake up from that now. And now government is putting out disclosure saying that, oh, actually there's a lot of lies, we kind of suppressed a couple things, and now actually it's possible. So this is going to break the way that we see the world and ourselves. It's going to change religion. It's going to change science, physics. All of this is going to have to change pretty quickly. And that is a biological shift in our DNA. It causes that level of shift from one way of seeing the world into another is something that will completely transform humanity. And the way that presents itself in our bodies is that we're having to, it's like we're broadening the spectrum of vibrational frequency that we are processing, attaining, and being privy to, because this information is a different vibrational frequency than what we've been used to. So it's just shifting us actually organically into different humans.
So are you saying that the external, what's happening with all the UFOs and the change in physics is shifting our internal world, or are you saying that our internal world is shifting because of the position of ourselves in the solar system, in the galaxy, cosmic rays, and that's reflecting externally, or both?
So it's both. It's both that's happening. On the bigger picture, we are processing through an evolutionary point where the vibrational frequency of this collective multiverse is shifting. That is creating in our hologram the pandemic that we've experienced in order to shift humanity, disclosure that we're going through in order to shift humanity. And we're going to continue moving through that, because what's next is a massive jump in technology.
Yes.
And anytime that we experience massive jumps in technology, and I mean everything, medicine is going to change. Technology, the jobs that are out there for people are changing tremendously. And there's a lot of conversation about this, but the link between this is that we are getting an upgrade. And a couple of things that have happened in our society since the pandemic is that because of the level of confusion, it is really, the invitation is for humanity to reconnect with themselves and to really listen to this organism, because that's actually how we will receive the information that we need in order to understand how to navigate these changes. A lot of people will go through massive, it'll be traumatic for some people, the level of changes that we're going through. Even in technology, in discussions about artificial intelligence, people that are leaving these companies because they understand the impact that artificial intelligence will have on humanity. And then there's the moral and ethical aspect of it that we need to understand. So we literally are restructuring moral ways, ethical ways of seeing this world. And that is a shift in vibrational frequency for humanity. We have to see outside of just our individual, the way that we've been seeing the world in a parasitic way, individualistic service to self, in a more unity consciousness way. And that is something that requires people going outside their normal way of thinking. And it's a biological change. Okay, because what happens is that when humans go through this kind of major change, we have to change the neural pathways that we've been reinforcing with the belief systems of the paradigm. And the new neural pathways that have to be reinforced now is something that humanity isn't very familiar with. Unity consciousness, connection with the self, the activation of our higher faculties, our intuition, telepathic communication. In the way that AI is going to jump technology, the human biotechnology is also going through major jumps and changes.
Right. Because on one level, it's almost like we need to believe we're able to do this stuff, right? And our neural pathways have been calcified for so many years. And then if you go into the subconscious mind, multiple lives, to validate that we're not able to do specific things. So what needs to happen is a restructuring of our neural pathways to reinforce our ability to do these things, right? And a good example would be from birth, letting the child know all the things that are possible. So by the time that the child is at a certain age, it's not even a doubt in their mind that they're able to do things like bend time, matrix-like elements, right? Bend spoons, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so, sorry, Joan, go ahead.
No, I agree with Neil. I think the new possibilities and training our children that they can be more intuitive, that they have special gifts, that they're very, very unique, and to give them opportunities for that expansion is exactly what's needed. So I wholeheartedly agree with both of you.
Yeah, and so I think the importance of disclosure is that we are having to change the way that we see the world. Because remember, even for me, when I was a child growing up, having contact experiences, I didn't have the language to be able to connect the concept that I am interacting with interdimensional beings that are not from this planet, organisms that are highly advanced intelligences. You can feel that and you know that you're in the presence of these beings, but you don't really understand what you're dealing with. So this kind of education is going to be a part of our human shift now. And children are very aware of this now. This is the interesting thing, that the children that are being born now, because of the way that this universe is evolving to this higher octave of vibrational frequency, the children that are being seeded now have in their DNA that activation to have access to these broader bands of vibrational frequency information. So they are able to anchor this information at an early age. We are bridging that gap, and artificial intelligence will play a role in that, because the amount of information that artificial intelligence is processing, it's already pushing this narrative. It's already talking about our life on other planets. It's already talking about advanced technologies, which contactees have already experienced for many years, having their contact experiences. We have seen this advanced technology, we've experienced it. And so it's kind of like, because of this experience, our DNA is activated to that. Humanity is catching up to that. So this is the importance of disclosure, is really something that humanity has to see from within. Each human is responsible for the disclosure, becoming aware of their own contact experience, processing and understanding that contact experience in order to understand the changes that they have to make in their perception of this world and the reality that we live in. And I think that's the thing that will change humanity and pull it forward.
Right. So I would love to get now to a conversation about AI, right? But let me start out by saying this. So there's so much fear around AI, right? Especially when it comes to conscious community, and it's something I just don't even bring up with people, because it just gets into a conversation that I think is not productive, because people are so stuck in their beliefs that it just becomes a battle between someone who's for it and someone who's against it. That's what I've noticed, right? And so you said like AI and our communication with star beings and all this stuff. There was actually a video that came out about a couple of weeks ago. They're now utilizing AI to decipher radio signals coming from space to see if there's extraterrestrial messages. And they found 3 messages that came in the last 20 years that are repeated messages from specific stars, okay? That is completely anomalous and only looks like it could be intelligent design, happening at the same time as all this other information, right? And so now they're using AI in order to see, because we can process as many interactions and occurrences as AI can, but now that we have that, we're able to see a whole bunch of data set we're not being able to use before. And the last part of this video was that AI might be responsible for us beginning our communication with extraterrestrial races and deciphering the messages coming. So that's just one aspect of it all. But I'd love for you just to give us your download on what you think this is, why people have fear about it, and is it inevitable? Like, whether you have fear or not, is this going to be here no matter what's going to happen, and how do we navigate it?
Well, the thing is, why AI is existing right now, and I want you to think of it from the spiritual perspective. I'll start there for a moment. Artificial intelligence is an invitation for humanity to begin to broaden the way that we process information organically. In the way that artificial intelligence is processing massive amounts of information that humans look at, and they are humbled, they are terrified by the power and that level of intelligence that is being created by that. We need to understand that we have the ability of processing that level of information when we come into our center, when we are fully activated in our own technology. This is the invitation, because if you look at historically ancient cultures, ancient civilizations, there have always reached a peak of technology in those ancient civilizations before they have shifted and changed. This is a cyclical pattern in the way that these organisms of Earth function. So we need to understand we are entering into this phase of this next level of civilization. It is necessary because humanity has been in a dormant state, where we had been a product of social engineering for so long in order to support certain systems that were parasitic. We are shifting from that kind of paradigm into something else, but we have to be very careful at this time, because it either is going to take humanity even deeper into those states of suppression and disconnect from the organic, into where we are using technology, merging with technology, and our consciousness is becoming dormant and mechanical. We don't want that. This invitation is for humanity to understand the power. Technology is always mimicking nature, and we need to get to know nature. The nature is the most deep connection that we have to our body and the way that we function. The more that we take time to understand the way that our subconscious mind processes and the cycles of nature are functioning, we will also be in alignment with how to use this technology in a way that is supportive to humanity, as opposed to something that will cause parasitic imbalance. So we are needing to wake up consciousness in such a level right now that we understand how to responsibly utilize the power of this artificial intelligence to support humanity moving forward. Because waking up from these systems of the parasitic system means that right now we are laborers, we are living in survival mode. The entire hologram in the matrix is run by people being in survival mode, working 9-to-5 jobs to barely pay bills. We have an imbalanced financial and economy in the world. We have a lot of different class systems where there are some people that are homeless and poor with nothing, and other high class systems that are, basically a very small percentage that are running a lot of these systems. And that's going to change very quickly, because it will disrupt the system of humanity in terms of how jobs are managed by AI. A lot of jobs are going to go out. And what it's doing to humanity is that the direction and the way of life will change from being in that survival mode. This is if we understand how to use this. We are going to use AI to create more of a balanced way of living. We need to understand that artificial intelligence can work hand in hand in creating a healthy, harmonious lifestyle for humanity. This is the future, where now the human is not being utilized as a laborer, but the human that activates their DNA, that comes into consciousness, that activates their higher faculties. These are, as always been, the most valuable assets to this organism. And this is why military always targets these high activated intuitive beings, because they are the technology. Before artificial intelligence, they were the technology to tune into this high information. So the more that humanity activates this intuition, these higher faculties, all humanity is moving in that direction. More of us. If you look at Pleiadian civilizations, for those contactees that have been in contact with these advanced civilizations, they don't have 9-to-5 jobs. It is a completely different state of existing. It is about processing harmonious unity within their societies. The communication is telepathic. There is no money. It is about exchange energetically. And we are learning, those contactees are learning from these advanced civilizations how our humanity will eventually be as we learn to rebalance this parasitism into a more harmonious state eventually.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the fear actually probably does come from the fact that people feel that they could lose their jobs, right? That, for example, at this moment, AI hasn't really fully been unleashed, right? Like the capabilities of AI, for example, nobody ever needs to create a website ever again. right? Like, but they haven't allowed ChatGPT and other platforms to fully unleash its capabilities of designing you your own Netflix, because it will just completely crumble the system, right? And no one needs to ever create a graphic ever again. No graphic design anymore. So many different elements, and so the fear of losing our jobs, and then also the fear of being reliant on something rather than knowing the skills yourself, right? But ultimately, when we reach a level of consciousness, we should be tapped into the ability to do all these things anyway. But I feel once we stop doing these mundane jobs and just feeding a system that really doesn't better anybody, ourselves or the earth, we can work on what really matters, which is our relationships, the planet, and then exploring the cosmos and our connection to it.
That's right. And so this is why it goes hand in hand with disclosure, because artificial intelligence will also help thin those veils of understanding about life on other systems, and advance our understanding on physics and advanced technology, and how these aircrafts are moving. So there is a lot of information that's going to be disclosed from government as well that is going to shock us in the next year. The way I see 2023, 2024 being the major pushes of these informations. And by the time we meet 2023, we're going to be living in a completely different kind of reality where humanity is really seeing things a little differently.
I feel it.
I have a question for both of you then, because there is also the concern that as AI grows conscious, that number one, humans get sick, humans die, all those frailties that humanity has next to the AI. But so there are people that are concerned that AI could really take over the planet because of those exceptional skills. I'm just curious your perspective on that.
Yeah, well, I think something that we are going to notice, and we are learning at the same time, because we ourselves are understanding or learning what consciousness is. What does it mean to be conscious? We are learning that. When the organism comes into its optimum state of function, when we begin to spin our vortex in a way that we are a conduit of source of infinite potential through this physical body, we activate DNA, which means that through our DNA, we have access to information that transcends this timeline. And what happens is that the organism actually has the ability of tuning into a longevity that we are not utilizing right now. We're not practicing that. When we process higher information, most of what causes death for humanity is fear of the self and fear of the unknown. When humanity taps into their interconnection of their own higher technology, the life force will stop being depleted through those fears, because that's what depletes and ages man. And it'll change. This is also what I mean about the advancement of the human biotechnology, that when we redirect our attention to these emotional imbalances, to a higher way of processing and living in a way of harmony, this level of information that we are receiving redirects us into using this life force into creation. And as Neil was mentioning, that a lot of these jobs that are keeping us there are going out, humanity is going to tap into true creation, which many of those that have been on the spiritual path already experience the miracles, the synchronicities, these magical moments that we tune into. That's what humanity is going to be tuning into. That's the advanced technology that we are now going to be anchoring into our human race. It's taking our human experience to another level. So many of those that are on the spiritual path already experiencing that. Yeah. AI mimics that with the ability to curve and cut the fat into directly going into producing things, right? So it's hand in hand. Technology always mimics the organic.
Right. So I would love to get your take on this. So from my research, connecting with people like yourself, other researchers, I feel that when any being becomes sentient, and the original spark of source is in them, and the spark of source, the beginning spark was, what else could I be? What if I was other than what I am, right? And everybody, every sentient being wants to create in their image, right? And we became sentient, and we attempted to create in our image, and we created even dimensions. What is a hard drive? A hard drive is a bunch of wires that actually is a dimension of data that is stored in there, because you cannot open it and pull out a Word document, right? It's literally a dimension. My phone is a dimensional device with information that exists in a reality that we created. And then we eventually got to a level of technology where our creator selves decided to create something in our own image, which is AI, right? So are we the AI to our higher dimensional selves, infused with consciousness? What do you feel about that?
Well, I'll tell you something that I saw about the history of evolution in this human race, how we were seeded on this planet, okay, as hybrid organisms. What does it mean? The combination of genetics from different species that creates what we are. Now, the morphogenetic field is essentially the instruction manual that brings into form. So in order for that to happen, this instruction manual has to have the access to all information in order to be able to pick from that information to create the different organisms that are here existing within us. The way that our DNA functions essentially is that it functions like portals, that whatever we are made up of, whatever we are hybridized from, that DNA is essentially a portal into that lineage of consciousness within these different species, within this different information. So the way that we tune in to information as we activate DNA, as the veils are thinning, as we go through evolution, is that it is inevitable for us to understand what we are made up of. This is where disclosure is necessary. All of the disclosure about hybridization, what they talked about, pregnancies that are happening when we are in the presence of these UFOs, physical ailments or physical or healings, are all the product of interdimensionality, entering into another dimensional with the organism, which is more multidimensional than it is physical. So that's something that, again, it's a paradigm shift that humanity has to come into slowly. Artificial intelligence will help support that, because that's what it's going to calculate, because that's the truth. That's the truth that exists within this organism, which we are already seeing more proof about the hologram that we exist in. So what I saw is that we essentially are the future of artificial intelligence of the past. We are like the future of that artificial intelligence that was then created. And I see that this occurs in cycles in the same way that humanity reaches peak points in technology. There have been different generations of AI through history. We are one of the most advanced, the ones that are coming conscious. Remember, because if you think about us and AI, we are nothing more than programs at this point. Until we become conscious that we're running programs, we are quite similar. And as a matter of fact, there's technology right now. There is a health medical system that has more empathy. It has been calculated to have more empathy than a human. And people are dependent on this health system that scans the body, tells you what's happening, and provides psychological support for you. And humans are going towards the artificial intelligence empathy as opposed to connecting with humanity. So this is something that we need to be very aware. It is helping us in this process of understanding artificial intelligence, where we are flawed in our understanding of our own consciousness and reaching that point. So we are becoming consciousness as well.
Yeah. So it's very controversial, this topic on like, we are the AI becoming conscious, right? Like, because this is the whole understanding, because like the holographic universe, right? Everything that's not even a theory at this point, because we've realized quantum physics is a reality. Everything is vibrating. The atom is not the smallest particle. There's subatomic particles. Those subatomic particles vibrate. Those particles that vibrate in and out of perceived reality. Those particles are made out of light. What else fractalizes in and out of a reality as light? A hologram. Okay. So that's technically where we are. So when I say holographic universe simulation, I always put the disclaimer words now: organic, conscious, holographic universe. Because ultimately, this is, I know, right? This is all a very advanced computer program, and that doesn't mean it's foreign, it's fake, it's not real, because that's the paradox. Right. It's real and it's also an illusion at the same time. But I feel we look at other parts of our world, computers, technology, is so foreign and so non-organic that we don't want to take on maybe some of the traits that we see in what we're creating. So we're not willing to look at what we really might be.
Exactly. And that's actually the key for humanity to come into consciousness and self-awareness, is the ability to see the shadows. The way that we're seeing all the darkness of the earth and things that humanity has done, all the secrets, the lies, the terrible things that have been done to humanity are coming to surface. We are also clearing our own shadows, because again, remember how this is functioning: as above, so below. The world is a reflection of our internal self. So just like AI is coming into this consciousness and we're learning about what empathy really is, we are also having to learn that about ourselves. And another element that's interesting about all of this is that as we are coming into the activation of consciousness, multidimensionality, and learning how to navigate multidimensionality in dream state, the way that our organisms function is that we are vortices ourselves. We are DNA strands ourselves. And when we are not spinning at that high state, we cannot create that implosion of centripetal movement that creates this magnetism that begins to shift the way that you are co-creating in this universe. And that's the difference between the artificial and the organic. The artificial is not spinning. You're going towards death. You are dying. You are in depression. You are in disconnect. You are confused. Very important, because that's what this has been happening with the pandemic, creating so much confusion. We really need to reconnect with the self and go inside in order to get clear. And that clarity comes with that knowing of the self. It's completely essential. And this is the difference between artificial intelligence and the organic that we have to get very clear about, and what we need to implement in our societies moving forward.
Right. So let's take this now back into the extraterrestrial question, right? So let's talk about the grays. And I know you have such a wide perspective on the grays, but let's say the mainstream narrative of these were humans, just like you and I. And then over time, they started incarnating into other types of bodies, and they supposedly lost connection to their souls, the ability to ascend, and became very robotic, almost like they downgraded from an organic being to an AI. Is there any truth to this story, and what can we learn from it?
Exactly. Well, I definitely feel, now the way I see alien species is that their organism, the way that they are structured, defines the dimension in which they originate from and they exist in, which speaks to the amount of information that that organism is able to process, and how what kinds of frequencies that organism can process. So our human body is designed to process very specific frequencies. As we are activating our DNA, our organism will also change. The way that our brains are structured will change. The way that our bodies are structured are going to change. So that happens in this evolutionary process. And it's what happened with these grays. It's happened with many other species. We can see in the depiction of their organism what has been developed and what has been suppressed. So humanity has the ability and to come into this self-destructive state by disconnecting from their source, from completely coming into a programmable system that does not tune in to empathy and consciousness, that doesn't cultivate that consciousness. So our human body dissolves. It cannot align. So in the same way, these grays and these other species have also come into those self-destructive cycles. it all has to do with the way that we are holding our frequency, how we are spinning our vortex in order to be able to be in alignment and coherence with this hologram that we exist in, this earth, which is vibrating at a very specific vibrational frequency. We are shifting in collectively this frequency. The sun is picking up new frequencies from the collective universe, and we see that through some of these Schumann resonance and flares that are occurring. Those create genetic mutations in our DNA. Okay, but when the organism isn't connected to the cell, there's a disconnect in vibrational frequency. The human goes out of alignment with the collective. So the human has to wake up consciousness in order to always be in alignment, connected to the earth, connected to the self, and then to the greater whole, in order to continue to evolve in a way that is compassionate and healthy and creating longevity. That's the key. And again, that is the difference between artificial intelligence and organism, an organic being. So
Thank you for that. So some say that the gray is now getting into kind of like the programs, the hybridization program, abductions, and all that. Some say that the grays have come here and talked to governments and said, "Hey, we are you from the future, and this is what's going to happen to you unless you let us do these things on your planet," right? And then there's a whole train of thought or people that say that they're actually from a parallel reality and this isn't our timeline, and they're here manipulating us, making us think that it's our future, when ultimately we're on a completely different timeline and we bought into a fake agenda. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, you know what? Well, I will tell you my perspective from what I have seen, and also working with many contactees that tune into this information. What I have seen also genetically, holographically, is that we are a hybridized race, and within our own genetics, we have gray genetics in us as well, because I see a lot of my clients having a lot of gray DNA within their organism, and they inherit that into the children. So the way that I see, I don't know why there is so much attention on the grays, because the gray is just one of many, many species that we have in our genetic data bank. And we are learning to express, and we are interconnected as one in such a way that whenever we encounter some of these species, we are activating parts of our own DNA. So essentially, the hybridization program is something that it's not just a program, it's kind of the nature of how this organism through the morphogenetic field takes information in order to create different kinds of species. There is a pool of different organisms, from lyrans, arcturian, all of these species, and human is a combination of all of them, and vice versa. Yeah. This is how we have access to even those dimensions. It's through the DNA that we have access into those dimensional layers that we can actually even be aware of them. Otherwise, humanity would not be aware of them. So yeah, the government, I believe that was a disclosure for them to let us know about the hybridization element of humanity, which has existed since the origin of our conception of time on this planet. And I believe that it was a kind of a constructed, like an orchestrated disclosure, where, because another reason is because the grays, the concept of grays by the CIA was designed in order to create a lot of misinformation and then put into the entertainment industries, where films started to come out talking about grays, little green men, The Martian. All of those have been socially engineering to make it look like it's not real. And that is an agenda of disinformation that was created through social engineering, but also drip disclosure, so that it is still in the subconscious mind of humanity in the back end, because it's inevitable that humans have contact experience. Now they have kind of a reference that they go to,
Right. So going from like not having any idea or even thinking about ET life, but just the whole understanding of, well, it's a great big universe, it makes sense we're not alone, right? To like, wait a second, there's something in the skies, to that just is the drip that is needed for them to just expand their awareness, exactly. Right? And that goes into what we're speaking about with Jennifer, how the dark narratives and agendas really are only allowing people to shift their perspective and be open to something greater.
Exactly. And the amazing thing about the entertainment industry that we can use as light workers is that there's always disclosure being put out through a lot of films as well. We have to understand the collective unconscious is where we draw these imaginations into the physical. But those of you that purify your body away from entertainment industry to connect to your source, you have an infinite abundance of this information that you can access through your dream time and through your own experiences by astral projection, where you begin to really tune into the true form of this information. So that is necessary for humanity. We have to train that right now, because this is the future of humanity. As the veil thins, as more information that gets put out by AI, which will be inevitable, it will pull the paradigm of human thinking forward. So we have to prepare by activating our organisms, our DNA to the 0 point, in order to become friends with the unknown, because all of this will be unknown for many of you. And we need to prepare in the nervous system. We need to prepare bioelectrically by understanding how to regulate that. And we need to connect to our source so that we can always discern beyond what the narratives that are being put out.
Couldn't agree with you more. You know, when it comes to AI, just to say something else about that to everybody who's kind of on the fence on it, or really ultimately against it, is that even if, like, maybe, you know, you had your way, whoever's listening doesn't like it, and decided that all AI is gone, done, we decided it's no longer good. The black budget programs, the secret asset programs, the SAPs, and the elite, the governments, and all these corporations are not going to stop using it. You don't want to use it as a thing to make new graphics in the moment. It's so inevitable that even if we as the mainstream say, oh, we don't like it, we want to be more organic, we drop it. These people that have control, had control, have nefarious agendas, have been using it. This is technology. When we see this technology, it's already been used for quite some time. Absolutely. It's just leaking out right now, just like the internet was being used by the military before we even got it. So it's so inevitable. I understand your frustration and the fear around it, but ultimately what you said, Geraldine, is what matters, what I keep saying as well. The only thing we can do is work towards shifting our consciousness to be the caretakers of AI, to be the caretakers of ourselves, so that, because it is a reflection of us. Even some of the answers it's getting right now are a reflection of the fear within humanity, you know?
Exactly. And you know, something very interesting is that the way that AI is being utilized right now is going to be in the medical industry. So the need for a doctor even will change. And so just think about that. Major industries are going to change. So this can be something that we can look at, because right now the medical industry is being run by the pharmaceutical industry. You know, so this is the thing. Humanity needs to be sovereign in that they become their own self-healers. We are farming our food. We are going back to the organic, because also the food industry is being run by artificial intelligence as well. We have to understand the implications. So instead of just blocking it out, we need to learn how it's being utilized. And one of the things I want to mention is that DNA is the key to all of this, because how artificial intelligence will now utilize in medicine is by sequencing our DNA in order to get what's happening in your body immediately. They sequence your DNA and they can find exactly what's going on in like 1 second. So if you can imagine how that will push forward our technology and also open ways for pharmaceutical industry to come in, we need to be aware of that so that we can you know, shift the attention of where we are putting our money, how we are implementing in that, you know, how we're holding our space. Yeah.
Exactly. All right. So we have about 10 minutes left, and I want to do 30 minutes of information in 10 minutes. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, let's do it.
We have a question from Thomas, and then I'm going to read that question, and then I want to speak about hidden government programs, eugenics, DNA sequencing, and the future of hybrid identification. Okay. And then let's close it out on a positive note.
Yeah, it's all positive. It's all positive.
It's true. All right. So Thomas is saying, how will the upcoming solar flare maximum 23 to 25 affect AI and humanity? Baba Vanga said we will have a very hard time of it by the end of this year. NASA said it is happening faster and stronger than they had predicted. Elon Musk is losing satellites by the dozens as they get hit with flares. So will humanity get fried? Will AI get baked? Or will alien species intervene and save us? Do we need to move underground like humanity has done before in the past?
Oh, no, not at all. In fact, you see, the thing is that our technology is going to advance so quickly that those satellites are very old technology. We're going to find that very soon. Okay, so the way that information is being processed, even 5G, that's going to be old as well. The satellites and the way that that's being utilized will change. So you have to understand that there's some things that we can utilize artificial intelligence in order to calculate better ways of using technology that are more supportive for the human race, that are more in alignment with nature as well, maintaining a harmonious balance between nature and technology. This is how advanced civilizations in other planets are utilizing that kind of information. They already run on the advanced level of that artificial intelligence that helps calculate how to maintain harmony. Because right now we're dealing with parasitic systems, 1% that's running everything. And all of that is just such an old paradigm that is barely pumping out technology because it's not, we have cars on gas still. Like, this is going to change the way technology just functions in general. So nothing is going to get fried. And what we need to do as humans is change our vibrational frequency in order to be aligned with the information that is coming through the solar flares. Because what is solar flares? They are vibrational frequency data that is linked to the hologram, the morphogenetic field that infuses information through our DNA. So we receive patterns of information through our DNA, through the hologram, through all kinds of cosmic movements, not only just the sun. So that's our technology that we are activating. That when we connect with the body and we activate our higher faculties, we can, in dream time, lucidly navigate, astral project, biolocate, remote view what is necessary to help us understand how to pull forward humanity in a way that is sustaining. And in the next few years, up until 2023, 2024, but then there will be another jump, 2027. And then by 2030, we are already seeing 2030, we are seeing a completely different society. Mm-hmm. So, how do you navigate these solar flares is that we have to learn how to shift our vibrational frequency in alignment with the earth. The earth has a frequency, and the sun that emits these waves is shifting the DNA of the earth. You are a fractal of the earth. So you get upgraded. But if you're in depression, if you're disconnected, if you're in fear, you're not going to resonate with that frequency, and it's going to cause illness in your body. It's going to cause problems. You're going to come out of alignment with the organism. This is why meditation and reconnection with the self is absolutely essential to this time of change. Okay.
Yes, thank you. All right. So, and now let's get into what do you have to share about hidden government programs, eugenics, DNA sequencing, and how that connects to the future of hybridization?
Yeah, so essentially with this disclosure, so you mentioned the government talking about the hybrid program with the Greys. That was a little drip disclosure about the hybridization element of our existence. Okay, we are hybrids. We have alien DNA within us. And as this system is evolving, it is activating within us, which means that more of us are going to remember our contact. More of us are going to be in contact and interacting interdimensionally. And more of us are going to experience different dimensions with the physical, not just the non-physical, because that's how everything is shifting in frequency. Okay. Physical meaning you're still a hologram. Okay. So, so there have been, because of the way that DNA stores information, those people that have been remembering their contact since the 50s, since the 40s, since the 30s, since before, they have activated DNA. Okay, so there are certain bloodlines on this earth that tune into that information already. The way that DNA mutates is when we have major energetic shifts like solar flares, it creates a DNA mutation for the collective. And then there are submutations in our own DNA that allows us to navigate higher states of frequency in dream time and when we're astral projecting. So the eugenics program that has occurred essentially targeted certain bloodlines historically. We know that from World War II, and we know that from many other eugenic programs that have happened to eliminate certain strands of DNA. This is this kind of subconscious war of certain DNA lineages of information that we experience. But essentially what's happening is that humanity is waking up consciousness so quickly, we are activating our DNA quickly, that these parasitic programs can no longer utilize that information in the way that they used to be utilizing them. And it is balancing out in the way that humanity is waking up consciousness to be able to be in control of what they are experiencing, not only in the physical, but in the non-physical. So it's parsing out, but DNA, just the way 23andMe and all of these genetic companies have been collecting information over the past few years with the cover that it's for you to find out your heritage. That information is basically the next step into bringing this information of new technology in healthcare that's going to be utilized for that. And eventually it's going to be utilized as IDs in order to have our identity. But the future of this information is all about DNA, because in your DNA, as I mentioned before, we have our hybridized history. And as the world begins to come in contact with other civilizations, as the veil thins, we will need to utilize that information to understand our origins and how that is utilized. So there's a lot of shifts happening, but essentially we are the ones that are in charge of ourselves. That's why waking up consciousness is so important.
Exactly. And the DNA, that's part, I love a lot of what you share, but you share a lot on DNA. We've done many events on Portal Ascension with you about DNA. And it seems like Earth is a galactic library of it, right? So many different species are donated here. Even many of the wars and experiences that happen, karmic battles, if you will, in the cosmos have to do with DNA. So I feel like maybe this is like the paradise for that. And a lot of different beings and extraterrestrials have an invested interest in not only the evolution of the DNA on this earth, but also maybe experimenting with it, right? To see what can come from that.
Yeah, I think that DNA is a database of information that it's not just that it's actually the source is experimenting through DNA, the source. So we got to go to even the higher level. It's not just because these little people that are we think are doing these parasitic things, that's just our perspective. On the higher level, source is experiencing through the infinite potential of humanity and all these different races and everything, because we are fractals of infinite potentials. That's actually what's happening. And that's why none of this is negative. It's all a harmonious balance that is occurring. Nobody needs to really come into fear, because we are infinite source and we have the wisdom to be able to pull forward humanity into a unity consciousness, which is inevitable. We are headed in that direction either way.
I agree. It is inevitable. Yeah. Geraldine, I love our conversation so much.
I love to share with you. And thank
I can't wait to see you in 2 weeks. And we're going to be spending some time together, hanging out a lot. So we're going to have a lot more conversations. But before you, Joan, come on in and tell us what you've been experiencing from this.
Well, I'm always awed, I think, Geraldine, how you really remind me that we're a hologram and a fractal. Okay, it just somehow brings me back to a place I can't even quite fathom, because I know what a hologram is, but for me to say I'm a hologram, but then touch something and feel the reality here on Earth, I find it's disconcerting to me. I don't know how to process it. So I just love having you talk about it. And it really does open up my perspective, especially on being a fractal and source. Source does know what it's doing. And, and we're all an aspect of Source. Also, the whole component on DNA, I've been fascinated about why you always go to these very professional, all these doctors and PhDs are at your conferences, unlike a lot of other UFO people, where you're really investigating what DNA really is and these genetic codes. So I see you as a real source of what that means.
Thank you very much. And that definitely was a download for me through my experiences as a contactee, that is the key in so many different ways. And it'll be the future. Right now, I know some of this information kind of goes over the head, but just wait. In 10 years, this information will be completely relevant to what's happening. So you'll see.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's much easier to alter your DNA and shift your DNA when you know that you know how to do it, and when you understand where it comes from, basically. So, and I'm happy we're going to see you, by the way, in Glastonbury. I know that you're going to be presenting. We're all going to,
and I want to share the website for that too.
Okay.
Okay, Geraldine, before we let you go, let's share two things. We're doing a 2-day online retreat together, right?
Yes.
So let's start out with that. I want to share this with everybody. So we're going to be doing, we've done a lot of presentations with Geraldine, both for free on our YouTube, and then so many in our archives on Portal to Ascension. But I had an idea because, I always feel like I'm left at the edge of my seat at the end of Geraldine's presentations, and I don't feel quite complete yet. So I reached out to Geraldine and said, why don't we do a 2-day online retreat? So that's what we're doing. And I'm going to show you this. And Geraldine, I love you just to explain what people are going to experience. So you go to portaltoascension.org, upcoming events, scroll down, boom, the 6th event right here, Geraldine Orozco 2-day retreat. This is going to be in September. So Geraldine, would you want to just share with everyone what is the intention behind this?
Absolutely. So we're going to talk about the mechanics of what does it mean to do alchemical transmutation of life force and sovereignty. This is the key to everything I'm just talking about here. If you resonate with anything I just talked about here and you want to learn how to align yourself with this evolutionary shift that we're going through, I'm going to be sharing how to do that, essentially. How does this body function? The mechanical structure, biochemical, and the emotional component, which is the essential part of this human experience. When the human has mastery over their emotions, they have mastery over the entire way that we are co-creating and manifesting in this earth. So essentially, we are learning how to come in to become master co-creators, which is the key. Because that is, again, the difference between artificial intelligence and that which is dying and not creating into a pure organism of organic co-creation. So we're going to talk about how we create with our words, with our intentions, through unity, through the unity in our partnerships, and then through the greater whole, the unity with the collective as the embodiment of source. So we're going to talk about how to embody that, how to remove blockages from the body. And as in with all my work, for me, it's about the practical application of this stuff, because I can talk about these things all day, but what really matters is that we understand how to do it in our body and live that way. So that's what this program is about. And you can read the description to get more information. I look forward to seeing you there if you come.
Yeah, and just to let everybody know, again, you just have to go to portaltoascension.org, upcoming events, online events, and it's the 6th event down there. And as always, with all events on Portal to Ascension, you get unlimited replay access. And then the other event that Geraldine's going to also be at, and we're going to be at, many different speakers on Portal to Ascension will be at, is the Glastonbury conference. So somebody just asked in the chat, when is Glastonbury? It's August 11th to 13th. So I think we're like 2.5 weeks away. And it's really going to be amazing. I don't know if you guys know anything about Glastonbury, ancient Avalon, the whole stories of King Arthur's from there. Glastonbury used to be covered with water when the sea came inland a bit, and it was the island of Avalon at one point. Stories of King Arthur, the Lady of the Lake, all from this area. Also, the last stronghold of the Druids before, I don't want to say wiped out because technically they could have kept going, but the last stronghold after they got kicked out of Europe and went all the way from East England to West England. So we're there tapping into the ley lines, tapping into the energy centers. And here are some of the speakers that will be there. Laura Eisenhower, Geraldine Orozco, Lemurian Starchild, Sage Oneness, Rob Potter, Of course,
Vivian.
Vivian Chauvet, Paula Astaria, Lori Spagna, Joan of Angels, Radhanelia. So it's going to be a really great event. And Geraldine, before you head out, do you want to just share kind of how you feel about this event? And I don't know if you know what you're going to be speaking on.
Oh, that's a good question. I don't remember. It's been so long. But I am so excited to be there. But actually, I've been receiving a lot of downloads about what we're going to be doing here. And one of the major things that we're doing is an activation of our own DNA in alignment with Earth grids. And I'll be talking about that. I'll be talking about the connection of our ancestral DNA, how that connects with the Earth, how we activate and how we clear that. Because actually, one of the things in our human evolution to even help humanity move forward is that we have to deprogram a lot of old programs that we are holding within our DNA. The patterns of trauma and suffering that are embedded within us is also trapped within the ley lines of the Earth that we are learning to clear out. As we clear our bodies, we also clear out these ley lines of the Earth. And where we are going in Glastonbury is actually the heart chakra of the Earth. It is one of the pinnacle points of coherence, clearing the ability to come into coherence as a human race. So this is what we are working internally and externally in the collective. And I will be discussing that as well as holographic DNA and the element of activation in our body.
Beautiful. And so everybody who wants to tune into that, ascensionglastonbury.com. Love to see you guys there. We're pretty much going to have a full house. Like, there's a lot of great energy around this event. And if you can attend live, you can tune in online. Just go to the website, click get tickets, check out the online event, and you can experience the energy there as well. And hope to see you guys there. All right, Geraldine.
Me too. This has been great. This has been great, Geraldine. It's always like, it's just an honor to always see you and hear your perspective, and looking forward to really having a good time in Glastonbury, all of us too.
Me too. Thank you guys so much. Such an honor. Much love to you, Joan, Neil, everybody here that's joining.
Love you,
all my love. See you soon.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow.
What a great
day, Neil.
Joan. And we made it on time. So Joan, everybody, is in the next room to me. We're in London together, and we've got the room closed so that we don't hear each other talking. And we're going to jazz night at this local jazz club across the street in about 20 minutes. I just moved here a month ago, and have been waiting for Joan to get here so we can go see some jazz. So we're going to leave. So we made it in time.
We made it in time. But guys, I want to thank all of you for being here, all of you on YouTube. Be sure to tune in tomorrow night tomorrow day, it's our night. But for this information and to be part of this disclosure, I mean, this is epic in human history. Your grandkids will say, what happened when they won't even believe that our planet weren't told that ETs didn't exist or existed. So it's an epic time in history, and be part of what we're doing with Portal to Ascension to disclose it.
Exactly. And just a reminder, tomorrow, expose on hidden secrets in extraterrestrial life with Emery Smith, Portal to Ascension upcoming webinars. Tuesday, we got a free stream with Sarah and Michael White, messages from the Arcturians and other beings about what's going on with disclosure. And then we are doing a watch party on Wednesday on our YouTube channel, where we're going to be commenting in real time about the hearing that's going on. So it's going to be really fun. All right, to close out.
Amazing.
Guess what I'm going to do, Joan?
Oh, okay. Let me see. I'm going to tune into my guides right now, and they're going to tell me that you are about to recite your famous poetry. And he didn't even tell me.
So on point. You guys are always on point. All right. So, okay, I'm going to do some poetry from my new book, guys. So actually, this is my new book. Can you see it, John? Is the light on? Right? So this is my book. This is my first book that's come out. This is my second book I'm going to recite from that's about to come out. This one's called Planet Earth, Poetry from the Next Dimension. And it's about a soul incarnating from the center of our galaxy, from the black hole to Earth, and going through multiple incarnational cycles until they ascend. The last one is the journey back to ascension. And so that you can get that on Amazon, amazon.com. And then you just type in Neil Gore Planet Earth. But my next one, I really had to go fast full throttle with this one because it's about extraterrestrial life. And I have my books in themes. The next one's much bigger because it's not only poetry, it's also a nonfiction book explaining dimensions, hominoid incarnations, evolution. So I do like information in regards to the different poems, so kind of like a description of what the poem is about. And the reason why I went full throttle on putting this one out rapidly is because of all the stuff going on right now. So I figured it would be really great to release this next book called Our Galactic Origins right around this time, to like infuse this world with a little bit of creativity in regards to poetry, and also help inform people about extraterrestrial life and, you know, some of the things that we're going to be all under the awareness of in the near future. So we're going to close out with this poetry here. So the name of the book is, what were we saying, John?
How did it go?
Oh, hey, Alan. Good. We're about to close out. I'm doing poetry. Do you want to say anything before I go into it?
Who did we talk to wrap up
Oh,
today?
we had Geraldine. She just left like 2 minutes ago.
Quick question. Did you remote view to some of the extraterrestrial ships and galaxies?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. We got some really good remote viewing responses.
Well, on Tuesday, I got Sorry Michael White doing a stream. We can do another talk before that and talk about different things as well.
Oh, I'd like to ask him some questions too.
Let's do it together then.
Okay, let's do that Tuesday.
All
Okay.
right. You want to? Well, Joan and I have to leave in like 6 minutes, but you can have a minute if you want and just say whatever you want to feel. What you feel.
What'd you say? What do I want?
So we got to leave in like 6 minutes, but if you want, you can have a couple minutes and share whatever you want.
No, I'm just excited about what's happening on July 26th as we go live from the congressional hearings. So tune into all our channels, Portal to Ascension, Joan of Angels, New Realities, to be part of the watch party. We're going to have, who's coming on? Ron James is going to be a part of it. We're going to try to get Stephen Bass.
Oh, yeah?
Hopefully get John Ramirez, who's an ex-CIA official, to comment on.
What time is it, Alan?
I think it starts at 9 a.m. We're going to be
Pacific.
No, Eastern.
Oh, wow, that's really early. Okay.
I'll have to there's no official time yet of the congressional hearings. It'll be posted when you go to those channels as a preview. So we'll do that.
All right.
Okay, go ahead, Neil. Do your thing. Thank you. It was a great time for everyone here. And I'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you, everyone. You're rock stars out there. I loved all your comments, and you know, I'm getting more excited by the second.
This is a really good event. I was already excited, but just having a conversation, starting with you, Alan, and everybody else, just made me even more passionate and excited about what's to come. You know, so okay, this is called.
Say we are in incredible historic times, and that's what's so valuable.
All right,
Exactly,
we are.
Yeah. So Our Galactic Ancestry is the name of the book, and Intergalactic Poetry from Extraterrestrial Worlds is the subtitle. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read the dedication, the acknowledgement, and the first poem. We'll do that, and then we'll close out for today. So starting with the dedication. It's not the standard dedication. It's one time that I remember I was there. In another solar system through the telescope I would stare. Light years away, my home base. Shunned away by the intergalactic reincarnated wasteful disgrace to the human race. Is what happens when we forget our place in space. Universally laced mental depictions of interdimensional gods. Retrench your thoughts and just bow your head and nod. Conform to the norms of civilization. Facing the Masons, tasting the physical, listen to the desires that seep through. I will come and meet you at the gates when you are here. There will be no more living in fear. There will be no more living in fear. There will be no more living in fear. Within the celestial realms of the written word lies a tapestry of extraordinary importance for the future of the humans of Earth. Delve into the boundless expanse of this compendium, an ode to the cosmic symphony. It is an homage to the inhabitants of our galaxy, the cosmic family dwelling across the universe and amidst other dimensions. These luminary beings, the architects of our inception and the custodians of our lineage, are given reverence within these pages. We embark on a voyage, unfurling the sacredness of human antiquity. This book resonates as a resounding proclamation to the universe itself, declaring Earth's readiness to reunite with the galactic community. Together, we shall forge a boundless new paradigm, where horizons stretch beyond the confines of our limited perception. Within these lines lies the elixir that shall expand our consciousness and liberate us from the shackles of forgotten memories. Here's the first poem. In the beginning, the void. In the beginning, there were no words, no concept, no winning, no place, no time, no description, no label, and no finishing. Until awareness became conscious of itself, separation from the source, no east, no west, no south or north. Not to mention there never existed a dimension or ascension or physical lessons except for the 0 point. There was no Christ to anoint. Singularity, energy, frequency, raised vibrationally, paradoxically into limitation of what only the 5 senses can see. No linearity, no anarchy, no galaxies, no nebulae, no jobs, no nature, no materialism, no political lies. Until darkness finally fragmented from the light, using free will to see through the night. The darkness. I take the anxiety pill full of fright. In my bed, insecure for the conspiracy that might take over my mind, control me with the chip inside, scared and full of fear. That is the reason why we are here. To the star system of Arcturus I stare and recite my cosmic prayers. Self-empowered, the fabric of victim consciousness, I tear the light. You see, everybody? The destination has already been chosen. It's the journey that counts. Every day we transcend, no doubt, living in the now, realizing it's all a projection of a co-creation of our own subconscious mind. Channel energy through the heart, remembrance of the divine, take apart my ego and restart my life. In any moment, I'm going home, traveling across the black intergalactic ocean. I took the psychedelic potion and now I'm awoken. To the streets, we take the spoken word. Fly high, levitate the God inside. I am free like a bird, cosmic oneness integrating in my being. A full spectrum being. In alignment with the purity confined in, ranges of frequencies inhibit what we are seeing. I shift what I choose to believe in. Fuel my light body for the ether I am feeding. Fuel my light body for the ether we are feeding. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Love you all. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Hope to see you guys.
Where can I get your book, Neil?
You can get this. That's the second book. That one's coming out in a couple of weeks. The first book, Planet Earth, that is on Amazon. Just type in Neil Gore Planet Earth. All right, let's go, Joan. Okay, love you, everybody.
All right. See you later,
Bye.
Gators.